Hi guys, this is Rusty 78609. I'm trying something new this morning. Kind of new anyway. If I put it up here, it's almost too high, isn't it? Let me try this. That's too high, isn't it? So I'll do it like that. Okay, here we go. This is Rusty 78609, Central Texas, USA. It is, and I quote, 9:39 a.m. Central Standard Time, 79 degrees. This is June the 26th, 2017. And I have a rigged up dash mount on my truck. So we'll do a drive, and I'm going to talk about the Roadtrek Simplicity. Well, that's not going to work. It's going to shake too much. So let me put it in my hand, and that's enough of that. Hang on, I'll get it organized here in just a minute, guys. Okay, there we go. Rusty tried something new and it didn't work. But anyway, which doesn't surprise me. But if you don't try something new, nothing new will ever happen. So, this is Park Road 4 in Central Texas, USA. Goes by Inks Lake. But what I want to touch on this morning, as y'all are enjoying, hopefully, the drive, is I contacted Roadtrek again this morning, because some of the information I got from them just didn't seem to be totally correct related to running the air conditioner, and that is very important to me because the Winnebago 59G is neat. Let me get this towel out of the way. There's a reflection on the glass. Anything else can go wrong here? We're getting here, guys. Oh, Rusty's doing it. But anyway, so the 59G Winnebago is a very interesting Class B, no doubt about that. But I'm not that fond of it, and it is about $8,000 more, which is, you keep adding. Well, the Simplicity SRT is already more than I want to pay or can afford, and this just compounds the problem. So I did contact Roadtrek, and here's what I found out this morning, and I believe it's closer to the truth than anything I've heard. You can run the AC on the Simplicity SRT with the motor idling if you have the underhood generator option. That's about $3,600 because it puts out about 280 amps, and that's plenty enough to run the AC. However, it's got to go through, it goes through basically it puts out that much power, but it's putting it into an AGM Series 31 battery, which is a 100 amp hour battery, and then that's feeding through an inverter to run the AC. I think it's an 11,000 BTU AC. So in talking to them, it appears you can. It depends if the heat load is not too bad. In other words, if the temperature is around 90, I'm going to guess, I'm just guessing here, folks, but it appears that if the temperature is around 90, you can run the air conditioner, all afternoon or whenever you need it during the day and in the evening, and that's fine. You won't have any problem with that. The motor will have to be running, idling, and then that will do it. And an additional thing I found out is this: if you also run the vehicle air conditioner at the same time, whenever you turn the vehicle air conditioner on, it increases the idle speed of the engine, and that causes the underhood generator, the special one, the optional one, to put out more amps. So not only do you have the additional cooling power of the vehicle air conditioner, you have the additional power being produced by the underhood generator. So that means that you can be parked in a warm climate and run the air conditioner for several hours a day without any issues at all on the Roadtrek Simplicity SRT. So knowing that, now part of the puzzle is back. I took the Winnebago 59G piece of the puzzle out and put the Simplicity SRT Class B piece of the puzzle back into my equation. It doesn't change anything other than I just moved one Class B out and put another Class B in. And so that's looking better. I like it because the SRT that I drove in Tucson, Arizona is very easy to handle. I don't know exactly what the fuel economy is because I didn't drive it that long. I drove it for about half an hour, and I drove it in traffic. I drove it across parking lots and shopping malls or whatever they were, and I also parked and exited, and also got up on the interstate at highway speed of 70 miles an hour, and all of that works fine. You've got plenty of visibility. The mirrors on both sides, the driver's side and the passenger side, give you a complete view of the rear. That does not have a backup camera, nor is a backup camera an option. However, you can install a wireless backup camera very cheaply, and so that problem is solved. It does not have Sirius radio. Is that a problem? No. You can get Sirius radio for your vehicle anyway. I mean, you can buy that as a separate item. So, if I really feel like I need it, then that's the path I'll go there. So anyway, back to the Roadtrek, and I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that are interested in Class Bs and are looking at, the Simplicity SRT Roadtrek, and may have had a question related to the air conditioner. And now, and that's all of that pretty much. And the rest of this video is just going to be driving down the highway. And the reason I do this up front on the Roadtrek is because I know when I go to a video, I like for the guy to get to the point. I mean, if he says he's going to talk about the Roadtrek Simplicity air conditioner, then do it. Well, I've done that, so if you want to exit now, punch the out button and you're gone, because the rest of this video is just going to be me rambling on. And for my viewers that enjoy seeing me drive down the highway, or seeing drives, scenic drives, I guess, then we're going to do that. But this right here, this is Park Road 4 in Central Texas, USA, northwest of Austin, about 60, 70, probably 80 miles, I'm sorry. And it's called the Texas Hill Country. This is a windy road. There's granite rocks all around. It's a beautiful place. The Inks Lake State Park is always crowded on the weekends and particularly holidays. And in the summer, they stay pretty busy. But it's a nice place. It's on Inks Lake, of course, a small lake. It's a good lake for fishing and kayaking and stuff like that, because it's not a big boat lake because it's not that big. So what else? I don't know what to say other than I'm thinking about taking another trip. I was going to tell you all the story. I will tell you the story. Here's the story. I don't know, I was walking this morning and I thought about it, and I've told this part of this before, or some of it, or something along this line. In 1959, I was like 14 years old, 13, going on 14 approximately, and I got me, well, let me back up. We would go to the little town. I lived in Kennedy, Texas, on a farm. And that was out. It was about 3.5 miles out of town, and no neighbors hardly. I grew up by myself. My brothers and the sister closest to my age is 4 years older, and then I had a twin brother and sister that were 6 years older. So for my early years in the country, I was by myself for most of the year because my brothers and sisters were in school. And so I had to create things to do on my own. But every now and then we would go to this little town called Beeville, which was about 30 miles away, because they had a little more shopping, or a lot more, than Kennedy, Texas, which had virtually none. But we would go there, and while we were there, I would walk to this little dealership, little motorcycle dealership, actually motor scooter back then. And he had a Cushman Eagle. I don't know if any of y'all remember that, but they did make a Cushman Eagle motor scooter in 1959, and I had one. Well, I finally got one, and I'll tell you how I got it. There was 10 acres of land. We had I don't know how many acres. We owned about 200 acres, and then we leased another 1,200 from a late Chestnut family on share. It's kind of like sharecropping. You farm it and you get a percentage of the profits for your labor and so forth. But anyway, it's very profitable if you have a good year. But anyway, enough said about that. But anyway, there was 10 acres of land on our property that was kind of on the side of a hill. It was very rocky. It had a lot of stumps in it because we'd cleared it with a bulldozer. They chained it is what they call it. And anyway, it left a lot of old roots and stumps sticking up, and it just wasn't a place that you could grow a crop. Well, anyway, my father told me that if I would clear that 10 acres and then plant it, because he would let me give me the seed to plant it, then whenever we combined that 10 acres, then he would give me the money from that 10 acres to buy a Cushman Eagle motorcycle, a motor scooter, if I wanted one. So there was an old Mexican man that worked for us. His name was Andres, and he was my best friend. I promise you, Andres knew everything. And he lived in a little Quonset hut on our property. He had worked for our family for about 40 years. He died in a home there in his little house one day. But anyway, enough said about that. But anyway, he showed me basically how to get the stumps out a lot easier. And what we did, we stacked them up in a big pile, and that big pile then became his firewood pile for the winter, because he would use those stumps, and they would burn for a long time, burn very hot. And he had an old center fireplace, in his old pot-bellied stove actually had a flue, went up through the roof, but he used those stumps. But anyway, he and I cleared that over a period of about, oh, I don't know, it seemed like it took a month. I don't know, and he helped some of the time he didn't, because he had other chores, and he was getting paid. I wasn't. I was going to get paid though if we made a crop. So anyway, later on, when planting season for flax, as I recall, is I think we planted in either January or February for a July harvest. So anyway, I cleaned it all up, got all the rocks out, stumps and everything, and then when it came time to plant, you know, I planted it. And anyway, boy, I just was hoping that we'd have a good year on the rain. The rain would come at the right time and all that stuff. And it did pretty much. We had a better than average crop that year. And I think I made, or anyway, my daddy said I made, I don't know what I made off of it. Shit, I have no clue. You know, the cost of the motor scooter, I got an 8 horsepower. See, they had a 6 horsepower and an 8. And it had a little shifter beside the gas tank, for those of you that remember the Cushman Eagle. And I got a red one. They made a red and a blue one. But anyway, I wanted a red one. I got a red one. But anyway, I got the 8 horsepower. And of course, you had to break it in back then. The old engine was a Briggs & Stratton 4-cycle engine, which was very good, actually, because it's very reliable. And it held about, I think it had a 2-gallon gas tank, and who knows how long that lasts. We had a 550-gallon gas tank on our property for the equipment. And hell, I just pull up there and fill up, and that was the end of that. I never worried about buying gasoline ever. And but anyway, I got it in San Antonio, Texas, and the dealership hauled it out to the edge of town and set it down on the ground for me. And of course, my father was with me. He was in a pickup, and so you could only drive. You had to drive like 20 miles an hour for, you know, an hour or so, and then you had to let it cool off, and then you drive it another hour or so, and then let it cool off, because you had to break in engines back then. So anyway, on the way back to Kennedy, I broke it in a little bit, and then of course my daddy explained one time. He went, of course, I knew a lot about equipment and tools and stuff back then, and how to take care of stuff, you know, change oil and oil stuff and all that. I knew all about that. But so anyway, he went through it with me, showed me how to. There was a little clutch, a throwout bearing on the clutch. You had to take out a cotter key, if anybody knows what that is, and open this little thing, and you had to oil those little this throwout bearing. Oh, probably once a week. Was a good idea, but we had plenty of grease and all that. So but anyway, he showed me how to do it. Wasn't much to it, and told me to drain the oil, change oil, you know, every so often, which I did. I had a speedometer on it, you know, where I could keep up with the mileage and so forth. But anyway, when I got that home, my whole life changed. I mean, no more walking and no more riding a bicycle that the chain slipped on. I mean, you'd be pedaling that old bicycle and the chain, where the chain went around, the things were worn almost smooth, and it would slip every now and then. Well, anyway, I didn't have to fool with the bicycle anymore, and I was in heaven. And boy, did I go places. Yes, I did. I went everywhere. I mean, I didn't go that far from home, but I mean, I went around town 500 times a day, because it was just a little small town, and you could go in town, up around by the high school, out by what we call the Creamy, which would now be a Dairy Queen. I'd make a circle around that, come back down Highway 181, go by what was called back then Pat's Drive-In, make a loop, come through the neighborhood up there on the hill, back down by my grandmother's house, all over town. But I'd do that over and over and over and over and over. And my friends were so jealous they could just spit fire. And I would even at night, I had it in we had a little 2-car wooden garage that was about to fall in, but I would keep it in that garage. But the garage was about 100 yards from the house, maybe not quite that, but it seemed like it was about 100 yards. And what I would do at night, I would open the screen window in my room and crawl out the window, go get my little motor scooter and push it. And then you could coast down a hill and then down a road about 1.5 miles away from the house, and then I would crank it up, and away I'd go to town. Then I had an old buddy I'd pick up in town, and we'd go riding around town for a few hours, and then I'd come back home, go to bed. And but how did I get it back home? I tell you, it was hell. I had to push that thing uphill a long way, but I did it because I was just so enthralled with the freedom of the road. And I guess maybe that was the beginnings of the itch for traveling around. Anyway, this little community we're just coming into here, this is called Buchanan Dam, and it's not incorporated. It's named after the lake near here called Lake Buchanan. Permanent population here is probably less than 1,000. In the season, which is now the summertime, the lake gets busy, and this place gets busy too. Gas here is $2.21 a gallon, and about 12 miles from here it's $1.98. That's the things you know when you're local. Now when you're traveling, you just pay the price and keep going. This little place here on the left, there used to be a bar right here on the right. This little town, when I first moved up here in 1994 or 5, they had, this little town at that time had a permanent population of about 800, maybe less. And they had 12 bars, 12. And I don't think I missed any of them. I really don't. I would go from one, and every one of them had a different clientele, every one of them. You know, some of them you knew there was one of them called the Dam Pub, and it could be rough. You had to be careful in there because you got the rough element. And then there were some others that were totally different. There was one there was a kind of a nightclub called Easy Listening. It was okay. And then there was the Pocahontas, which was the uppity up bar, I guess you'd say. At one time you had to have a membership to get in that one. But anyway, we're coming down 1431. I'm headed to Kingsland to check my mail, and that was my story for the day, and an update on the Roadtrek Simplicity SRT. The air conditioner problem is not an issue. I can stand up in it. Those were 2 big hurdles. So if everything goes right, that will be a piece of this puzzle, and I'm putting it together as we speak. So yeah, I got some prices on the Winnebago 59G. It's even their bottom dollar is about $8,000 more. You know, you got to draw the line somewhere. Come on. But anyway, having said that, guys, this is a little video and a drive, I guess. But anyway, thumbs up, carpe diem, adios, bye-bye, buy USA made when you can. Drink plenty of water. 3 or 4 quarts a day won't hurt you. You'll pee a lot, but hell, you don't have anything else to do anyway. Go pee. And take deep breaths. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth several times a day. Why? It relieves stress. Relieving stress lowers your blood pressure. Lowering your blood pressure makes you feel better and probably live a little longer. And living a little longer is what we want to do. Stretch, walk, do all those things that'll keep you healthy, because you know time's passing, and without your health, guys, all this is totally meaningless. Totally meaningless. But having said that, enjoy your day. Adios. Bye-bye.